everyone, it's Miss White with Peaceful Schools. Today we're going to continue our lesson on cardboard crafts. Today we're going to work on creating a setting. So last time we created characters, and this time we're going to create a setting, so hopefully we'll be able to put together a whole story by the end. So setting is the location in which a story takes place. So the first thing we're going to start with is how to make an easy castle out of our toilet paper rolls. So here are our materials. You will need toilet paper rolls, extra blank paper, tape or glue, scissors, and markers. To make my castle, I used 3 toilet paper rolls and 1 paper towel roll. The paper towel roll is longer, so I used that to get a different size tower for my castle. The first thing I'm going to do is I am going to actually draw on my toilet paper rolls and my paper towel rolls. I'm going to leave the castle this color. I'm not going to color it, but I am going to add some texture, and I'm going to do that using marker. I'm going to create some texture on my castle, and I'm going to do that just by creating, honestly it looks like hashtags, just little scores where brick might be. You could fill them in if you want. And I'll do some at the top and I'll do some at the bottom. And I think this one here, I think it's gonna have, I'm gonna make a little window to it. So I'm going to make what looks like part of a rectangle, and then I'm going to curve the top to a point. I'm gonna put the other side up to match it. And I'm gonna fill that in, so it's gonna be dark on the inside. All right. So here's one of my towers. Next, I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to mark around the edges, and I'm going to make little cutouts to make the top of my tower. Try to make your lines the same amount of space apart. So when I have all of my lines drawn in, then I can start to make cuts on each of those lines. And then I'm just going to fold down every other one. There we go. So I have my tower. Now you can just leave these tucked in like this and fold it down, or you can cut them out. I'm going to use the same process and make another one of those towers. And I'm going to make those straight lines down from the top. I'm only going, if you can see, like not even the size of my fingernail, like just a very small amount down. And about this far apart. So really about the size of my fingernail. So I'm just folding down every other piece. Next I'm going to make my center tower to my castle. So I have another toilet paper roll here, and the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to draw my door. I think it'll be a rectangle door, and I think it'll be a double door actually. So I'm going to make 2 rectangles. I'm going to put a bar in between them. I'm going to thicken up the door frame. I'm going to have a handle here and a handle here. I'm going to make it like a grate over the door. If you use your marker more vertically, straight up and down, it gets a thinner line. So I wanted that outline to be thicker, so I used the side of my marker. I used it more horizontally, but if you use it more vertically, you get a thinner line. And I want this to be a fancier door, so I'm actually going to take and add a half circle on the top. Going from the corner of my rectangle, I'm going to try to match it on the other side. made 2 rectangles in the line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a rectangle in the row beneath it. And I'm going to make it so that the center of the rectangle that I'm about to make is where this line is. So I'm just alternating. I'm going to make a small window at the top here. A very small window. This time I'm just going to do a little window so it's like a little square. And then I'm going to do what I did last time and make up to a point, and then I'm going to color that in black. It's a little window. Now I'm not going to cut the top of this one, my center tower. I'm not going to cut the top of it like I did the other ones. We're going to come back to that and we're going to make actually cones to go on top of them in a moment. So I'm going to leave that for now. I'm going to do some texture on our other towers. So I have 2 more towers. These are the ones that I used the paper towel roll for, so that would be taller. So if you see our center tower that we just made, they're going to go behind it to give it a little bit of height. And I'll start with the shorter one. So I'm going to take my tallest tower and I'm going to start to make a little bit of that texture up there too. So here's what I have so far. I'm going to tape my castle towers together so that they're more stable. And I'm putting it horizontally. So I'm taking my tape long ways. I'm going to add this one on. I'm going to put 1 piece of tape on each side. If I just put 1 piece of tape, it'll wobble back and forth. So I've got to put 1 piece of tape to connect it there, and then 1 piece of tape to connect it to the one in the front. You can choose to make the other tops of these taller 3 towers, whatever way you'd like. I'm going to make some cones. So I already made one, and I'll show you how to make the rest. So I have a blank sheet of paper, and I'm going to use my pencil, and we're going to be drawing a circle. So in order to draw a circle, you can just freehand and draw a circle if you want. But sometimes it's pretty hard. If you want to try to make a better circle, something that you can do is to trace. So I just have a bowl from my kitchen, and I'm going to place it down on my piece of paper. I'm going to hold the bowl from the inside so it doesn't move, and I'm just going to trace around the outside. When my arm gets in the way, I'll just go to the other side. And I'm going to make another one of these. I'm going to make 2. Another thing that you can do is to make 1 circle and then take it on your paper and trace it on a different spot on the paper. And now I have 2 circles. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to cut about halfway into my circle. So about halfway to the middle. And I'm going to take one of those ends and I'm going to fold it in. And then I'm going to tape it in place. So I should have one end on the inside, you can see, and one end on the outside. I'm going to tape the outside one down. So I should have a little cone. On one of my cones, I've left a little gap towards the top because I think that for our castle, it should have a flag at the top. So I'm going to make that now. I'm going to take my little scrap of paper. I'm going to draw a triangle. So the way I'm going to do this is I already have a rectangle here, and I'm just going to draw, I'm going to actually use another piece of paper as a straight edge, and I'm going to draw from corner to corner to make a banner looking triangle. So just from corner to corner, and I'm going to cut along that line. So I've just taken a scrap of paper in a rectangle to be my flagpole, and I'm going to tape our flag to the flagpole. I'm going to tape it on the back so you don't see it as much. And I'm going to do a piece of tape across and onto the flag so it doesn't stick out over the edge. So I'm making sure that it's touching the paper, it's touching my flagpole, and then it's also touching the rest of the flags. And then I'm going to color it in. So here is our castle, and we just need to attach our last tower top. And here we have our castle. So this is going to be our first setting. Next, I'm going to show you how to make a house. So we have a blank toilet paper roll, and we're going to be starting with creating the outline of the house, and then we'll color it in, and then we'll add different features at the end. So first, I'm going to mark in some windows. I'm going to divide it into 4 pieces, so 1 vertical and 1 horizontal. I'm going to do another one of those on the other side. I'm going to make a door. My door is going to be curvy too. It's going to be a curvy door. Like a curvy rectangle. I'm going to take that curvy rectangle. I'm going to cut along one side and the top. So cutting on a curve is difficult, especially for something this small. So don't worry about, see I made a little bit of an extra cut there, that's okay. Once you have it to here, this line that you didn't cut on, so we cut one up and one across, and this one that we didn't cut on, we're actually gonna bend, so fold it outward, so away, and this is going to be the door to the house. Next, I'm going to color in my house. Now for our roof. For our roof, I'm actually going to use a cupcake holder. So it's like a liner that we can use for muffins or cupcakes, but I have some extra ones, and so that's what I'm going to use as my roof. You can use whatever you want. You can use the papers, like I have an extra cone from when we made them for our towers. You could use those for a roof to your house, but I'm going to use this because it's something that I have. I'm going to tape it like this so that you can see out the windows. So a lot of stories have more than one setting, more than one place that the action takes place. So we can create different settings for our stories so our characters can travel to these places. Remember that stories have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So in the beginning, we introduce our characters, introduce our setting, and set up the plot. The plot is the action of the play. What happens? Is there a problem that the characters are facing? Is there a challenge or an obstacle that they have to overcome? The middle is them going through those challenges or working towards their goal. And then the end has to be a resolution, a solution to the problem. The problem can either be solved or not, depending on how you want to end your story. It's up to you. And we can write stories about whatever we want to write stories about. Something that helps me sometimes is making the characters that I create go through a similar sort of situation that I'm going through. And sometimes that helps me to deal with some situations that I'm going through and the things that I'm feeling and the things that I'm experiencing. You could also have them make choices and kind of play out how that works. So instead of you making a choice and not knowing, is this a good choice or a bad choice, you can act it out with characters first to see the potential effects of your choices. So I'm going to bring on some of the characters that we created last time. Alright, so I've gathered all of the characters and setting pieces that we've created. I added a couple more. I added a fox, and I added a little pirate man. We also have the bee, the bat, the octopus, and the snake from last time. And today we made a house, and today we made a castle. So now what we can do is we can start to put together our story. Make sure, like I said, that we have our beginning, our middle, and our end, and that our characters have character traits. So character traits are what makes our characters themselves. So if we look at the characters we have here, this bee looks a little bit goofy, so maybe he can be silly. That can be a character trait for him. This fox has his eyes closed, so maybe the fox is sleepy, and that's something that affects our story. Our pirate, here he looks kind of happy, so maybe he's a happy pirate. We have a smiley octopus, we have a frazzled looking bat, and our snake. We can decide. Is our snake going to be helpful or is it going to be harmful? How are these characters all going to interact for our story? And the great thing about storytelling is that you get to make the decisions. You get to decide. Is the fox friends with the pirate? Is the snake friends with the bat? You get to decide who has a problem and what is the problem and how can we solve it. Those are the things that we're going to be thinking of when we create our stories. So my challenge for you is to do this, to create these stories. I love to see work submitted by students, so if you participate in any of the Peaceful Schools activities that we post, I'd love for you to take a picture or a short video of your work and to submit it to us in the comments either here or on the Facebook page. We'd love to see the work that you create, the stories that you tell, and we can't wait to see you soon. That's it for now. See you next time. For more activities, visit the Peaceful Schools YouTube page.